You are holding on to things right now that are quietly draining your life, and you defend them with your last breath, the half-finished project you can't kill. The skill you learned 3 years ago that no longer serves you. The version of yourself you keep protecting because letting go feels like losing. You're about to see exactly why your own brain makes this so hard and what it costs you every single day. There's an experiment that economists have run for decades, and it works on everyone who tries it. You hand someone a plain coffee mug, nothing special. Then you ask what they'd sell it for. The number comes back high. Then you ask a second group, who never touched a mug, what they'd pay to buy that exact same one. Their number is roughly half. Same mug. The only thing that changed was who held it. The moment something becomes yours, your brain quietly doubles its worth. Researchers call this the endowment effect, and it's one of the most reliable quirks in all of behavioral science. Once you own a thing, you can't see it clearly anymore. Now stop thinking about mugs, because this isn't about mugs at all. Think about the project you've been dragging behind you for 8 months. The app idea, the channel, the brand, the thing you told everyone you were building. It's not working. Deep down, you know the numbers, you know the silence, you know the way you avoid opening that folder. But you can't let it go. And the reason you can't isn't laziness. It's that you own it. You poured weekends into it. You skipped trips for it. You told your friends about it. And now killing it feels like admitting they were right to doubt you. So your brain inflates its value the same way it inflated that mug. And you keep feeding time into something a stranger would have abandoned months ago. A stranger would walk away clean. You're paying a tax just for being the one who built it. So here's the uncomfortable question. How much of your life is currently allocated to defending things instead of building them? Watch how this plays out in your skills. You spent 2 years getting good at something, editing a certain way, coding in a certain stack, running your business off one platform you've mastered. That mastery cost you real sweat, and that cost is exactly what traps you. When a better tool appears, when the market shifts, when the smart move is to start over as a beginner, you resist. Hard. You tell yourself the new thing is overhyped. You find reasons the old way is still fine. And maybe it is, for now. But notice what's actually happening underneath. You're not evaluating the tool. You're protecting your investment. The 2 years feel too expensive to walk away from. So you keep walking down a road you already know is ending. Economists have a brutal name for those 2 years. Sunk cost. The money's spent, the time is gone. It's never coming back, whether you continue or quit. A clear-eyed builder makes every decision from where they stand right now, looking forward. Most people make it looking backward, trying to justify a price they already paid. And the ownership bias is the engine that keeps them facing the wrong direction. But this goes deeper than projects and skills. It reaches all the way down to who you think you are. You own an identity, the disciplined one, the creative one, the person who doesn't need anyone, the one who's just not a numbers person, or not built for routine. You've held these labels so long they feel like facts. They're mugs you picked up years ago and never put down. And because they're yours, you defend them even when they're costing you everything. Here's where it gets personal. The story you tell about your own limits is the most overvalued possession you own. I'm bad at sales. I can't focus. I never finish what I start. You'd argue for those lines if someone challenged them. Because admitting they're changeable means admitting you could have changed already. That's the real grip of ownership. The thing you hold starts holding you. A skeptic listening right now has a fair objection. Loyalty matters. Persistence matters. Half the success stories you admire came from someone refusing to quit when everyone told them to. Isn't all of this just a fancy excuse to abandon hard things the moment they get uncomfortable? That's a real tension. and it deserves a real answer. The difference is direction. Persistence asks, is this still the best path to where I'm going? Ownership bias asks, how do I justify the path I'm already on? One looks at the goal. The other looks at the receipt. When you're truly persisting, you can name 3 concrete reasons the thing will work that have nothing to do with what you've already spent. When you can't, you're just clutching a mug. So how do you actually break the grip? You make the bias visible, then you starve it. Try this. Take the project, the skill, the belief you've been defending. Now imagine you woke up tomorrow and it wasn't yours. You're a stranger, walking in fresh, looking at it cold. Would you pick it up? Would you pay for it with your time, knowing what you know? If the honest answer is no, you've found something you're overvaluing purely because you're the one holding it. The stranger test cuts through the fog the receipt creates. There's a builder I think about, and the story is short on purpose. She spent a year on a clothing brand. Decent sales, terrible margins, 80-hour weeks. Everyone said, keep pushing. Instead, she asked the stranger question. The answer was obvious the second she stopped counting what she'd spent. She shut it down, took the one skill that actually had value, and built something else that worked. You don't need her details. You need her move. She stopped paying the ownership tax and started again from where she actually stood. That's the muscle. Letting go of what you own on purpose before it owns you back. Watch yourself do this in small ways every week. You keep a subscription you stopped using because canceling feels like waste. You finish a series you've already lost interest in because you've sunk 6 hours in. You stay friends with someone who drains you because you've known them since you were 15. Tiny mugs, all of them. And everyone teaches your brain the same lesson, that holding on is who you are. The habit you practice on the small things is the exact habit that runs your biggest decisions. So practice the opposite on something cheap today. Quit a small thing you've been overvaluing and feel how little actually breaks. That's the rep. You're training your nervous system to survive loss so that when the big call comes, the one that actually shapes your future, your hands already know how to open. And it scales to everything you're building. The body you've trained one way for years when your goals have changed. The audience you built that no longer matches who you're becoming. The 5-year plan you wrote when you were a different person with different information. None of these are sacred. They're all just mugs your past self handed your present self, and you're allowed to set them down. Your past self was working with less skill, less information, less of the world figured out. Every goal you set back then was a best guess made by someone who knew you worse than you know yourself today. Honoring those old guesses at the cost of what you can see now isn't loyalty. It's letting a younger, dumber version of you run your life by remote control. You get to fire that manager whenever you want. The freedom you're actually chasing has a hidden requirement, and almost nobody talks about it. It's not just the freedom to build whatever you want. It's the freedom to drop whatever you've built. Those are the same muscle. The person who can't quit a dying project can't truly start a living one, because both hands are already full. This is the part that stings, so sit with it instead of dodging it. Most of the room in your life is already taken by old versions, old bets, old labels you keep insured against loss. Every one of them charges you rent in attention, energy, and time. You feel busy and stuck at once, and you blame the world, when the truth is your own warehouse is full of things you overvalue simply because they have your fingerprints on them. You can keep paying that rent. A lot of people do, for decades, until one day they realize they spent their whole life guarding a collection instead of living. Or you can start running audits. Quarterly. Brutal. The stranger walks through your warehouse and points. Keep, sell, burn. No nostalgia allowed in the accounting. Now, a fair warning, because earned realism beats cheap hype. Letting go isn't free, and it isn't always the answer. Sometimes the thing you want to quit is just hard, and hard is the price of anything real. The stranger test won't make that call for you. What it does is strip away the one lie that corrupts every decision. The lie that something is worth more because it's yours. Once that lie is gone, you're choosing with clear eyes. You might still keep the thing, but now you keep it because it's good, not because you're scared to lose it. That clarity is the whole prize. Most people will never make a single major decision from a clean place because the receipt is always in their hand, whispering that they've come too far to stop. You can put the receipt down. You can decide today that what you've already paid has no vote in what you do next. The mug in your hand was never worth what your brain told you. Neither was the project, the skill, the story, the identity you've been guarding like treasure. Their real value was always the same as a stranger would name it. So pick one thing you've been overvaluing, walk in like you've never seen it before, and decide whether it earns a place in the life you're actually building. Loosen your grip on what you have, and your hands are finally free to build what you don't. Set the mug down, then go build something a stranger would fight to own.